Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I'm Queen Celestine. The top stories this hour. President Tinubu issues marching order to the military as terrorist kills 9 in fresh attack in Borno State. Private medical practitioners in Nigeria warn of imminent collapse in the health sector, urge government intervention. Death toll from flash flooding in Kerr County, Texas rises to 80. More details shortly. We begin the news with security matters as President Bola Tinubu has issued marching order to the military to confront Boko Haram terrorists, bandits, separatists and other criminal gangs threatening the peace and sovereignty of the nation. President Tinubu gave the charge at the grand finale of the 2025 Nigerian Army Day celebration held in Kaduna State. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's unwavering commitment to the welfare of officers and soldiers of the armed forces. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe, who has been in Kaduna State monitoring the celebrations, now reports.
The tradition started in 1863 and here gathered for the 162nd Nigerian Army Day celebration are top Nigerian government officials, former head of state Yakubu Gowon, state governors, service chiefs and other very senior Nigerian army officials, captains of industry, media executives, as well as wives and family members of the Nigerian army personnel. President Bola Tinubu, represented here by his vice, Kashim Shettima, said he will leave no stone unturned in improving the nation's security architecture.
To the officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army, I say this with clarity. The time to rise is now. You have my full authorization and the trust of the Nigerian people to confront and defeat those who seek to undermine our nation. You have my confidence, my support, and my prayers. And I know that you have the resolve to prevail.
He is optimistic that with the strides of the nation's army, more will be achieved if round pegs are put in round holes.
You cannot build a great army without building strong soldiers. Their welfare, morale, equipment, and sense of purpose are not afterthoughts. They are the bedrock of national security. I commend your commitment to placing the soldier in the center of reform, and I assure you that this administration stands firmly with you on that path.
Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, while commending the troops for their achievements so far, said the Nigerian Army will not relent in improving on its mandate.
My dear soldiers, the pillars that uphold the strength of the Nigerian Army, I thank you all and assure you that our collective sacrifice will never be in vain. I use this medium to assure you all that the Nigerian Army of today has been infused with modern and state-of-the-art equipment, platforms, and capabilities to confront as well as deter any threats to the country.
Here are some of the sights and sounds that climaxed the events at the grand finale. Awards were presented to deserving stakeholders as well as some personnel for meritorious performances. With the event done and dusted, Nigerians will expect to look forward to a more motivated army, providing greater territorial security for the nation. In Kaduna State for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
News Central's Chizoba Anyowe joins me now from Kaduna State for more updates. Hello, Chizoba. Can you hear me?
Good evening, Dr. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you please tell us can you just give us a full update of what happened yesterday at the Army Day celebration?
Okay, here in Kaduna State, it's been a week-long event for the 2025 Nigeria Army Day celebration, short-named NATSEL. It is an event, like I've said in the report you just saw, where the Nigerian Army celebrates the achievements they've made over the years, especially in the past 1 year, because it's a yearly event. And also, they use the opportunity to also look at the challenges they have faced in the past years, and of course, try to offer solutions by interacting with people on the way forward, and which is majorly to find a way of ending insurgencies in so many parts of the country these days. You hear of killings here and there, you hear of insurgencies, some call it terrorism, banditry, and all those. And so this is an opportunity and an event that has been set aside to celebrate both the strides of the Nigerian Army in trying to maintain security in all parts of the Nigerian territory, and of course to offer solutions to end these acts of criminality. And so every day had an event, but yesterday's event was the grand finale of the 2025 NATSEL in the city of Kaduna State. And so featuring during the day's event was majorly the parade of personnel, or you call them the soldiers, that were on the ground to also join in this celebration. There was also display or exhibition of some vehicles or some sort of equipment, like they call it, heavy equipment, used in the battlefield, used, of course, to ensure that they engage the enemy the way that they would come out victorious from the field. And so people gathered, there were invitees, stakeholders, personnel in the army, high-ranking ones at that, and of course, so many other people, their family members were there, NAOA members, that their wives, the association, they were also there to join in this celebration. And of course, also see what is being used in the battlefield, the effort the Nigerian Army is putting in combating insecurities in many parts of Nigeria. And of course, x-ray the challenges facing them to know how best they will combat these insurgencies, know how best to tackle it, and then especially what was majorly discussed during this year's event was what they call the soldier concept. So this is a way and a form of looking at these challenges, especially where the soldiers, are facing combat in their different fields of operation, to know what they are lacking, what they need to come out better, to be able to perform these mandates given to them. And it was an opportunity for Nigerians to also hear from the President, Bola Tinubu, on his stance on insecurities in Nigeria. Well, he wasn't there on the ground to do this by himself, or his vice, Kashim Shettima, was on the ground to deliver his speech, where he said he's reaffirming the stance of the president to make available every necessary equipment to combat insurgencies in many parts of the country, not also forgetting to commend the effort of the troops, in as much as there are challenges, but he accepted that they have done so well in the past years, and he was also on the ground to assure them of the commitment and, of course, continuous effort of the government in ensuring that they go into the battlefields with equipment and whatever they need, sound mind and sound body, to be able to come out victorious. Again, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, was also there on the ground. Of course, he was the chief host of this event. And he also told the same line, commending the troops, the personnel and officers of the Nigerian Army for the peace they have achieved so far, and of course, promising and pledging that his leadership will always continue to soar higher, trying to make provision what equipment that will be needed, especially in the evolving world we find ourselves in today, where new technology is available. And so they are trying to see how best they'll be able to tackle these insurgencies from the different forms of interventions that are made available to them. We had like the former head of state, Yakubu Gowon, was in attendance. The chief of defense staff was also in attendance. The host governor, Senator Obasani, was there, and then there was a representative of the governor of Jigawa State. Other service chiefs were also on the ground to witness this. And of course, some other media executives that were in yesterday for the media chats with the chief of army staff, the likes of the managing director of New Central TV, on MD, who was also on the ground to witness this event, just like so many other invited guests. So, I mean, it was worth the while.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chizoba, for joining us at this time.
Thank you for having me.
Meanwhile, 9 people have been killed in an attack on Malam Faturi in the Abadan local government area of Borno State. The attack also left 4 others injured in the attack on the border community, 272 kilometers from Maiduguri. In a press statement from the Borno State government, the governor, Babagana Zulum, condoled with the families of the victims of the attack, making cash donations to them. Addressing the people of the area, Governor Zulum, whose condolence message was delivered by the Commissioner for Local Government and Emirate Affairs, Honorable Sugun Maimele, assured that government will continue to take adequate measures to ensure the safety and the protection of the town. The Commissioner presented cash support of 500,000 naira to each of the bereaved families and 250,000 naira to each of the 4 individuals undergoing treatment. A tragic head-on collision occurred Sunday on the Zaria-Kanu Expressway, claiming 21 lives and injuring 3 others. According to the Federal Road Safety Corps, the crash happened around 8:20 a.m. at Kasuwa Dogo, involving a heavy-duty DAF truck and a commercial Toyota IS passenger bus. Preliminary investigations revealed the accident was caused by a route violation when the bus driver drove against traffic, resulting in the fatal collision. Of the 24 people involved, 21, comprising 19 men and 2 women, died, while 3 survived with injuries. The bodies have been taken to Nasarawa Hospital in Kano. Rescue teams swiftly cleared the scene, restoring traffic. The FRSC continues a full investigation and extends condolences to the victims' families. And now to healthcare sector. The Association of Nigerian Private Medical Practitioners has called on President Bola Tinubu and Nigerians to urgently intervene in the nation's health sector. The association raised the alarm over an imminent crisis in the nation's health sector, following a 21-day ultimatum issued by the Nigerian Medical Association to the federal government. The ANPMP, in a press statement signed by its president, Dr. Kayode Adeshola, and Secretary General, Dr. Gbadebo Adebiyi, on Sunday, urged President Bola Tinubu to urgently intervene before the healthcare system collapses. The NMA had on July 2nd issued an ultimatum in protest against a circular from the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission on revised allowance for medical and dental officers in the Federal Public Service, which the doctors says violates prior agreements. The ANPMP, a constituent of the NMA, expressed full support for the ultimatum, warning that the current situation, if ignored, could plunge both public and private healthcare into a deep crisis. Earlier, Dr. Phillips Ekpe joins us live to discuss the challenges in the health sector. We bring you some of his thoughts.
Cares for the welfare of all the doctors in Nigeria, and they also are responsible for dialoguing, discussing with government to make sure that the doctors and the other medical personnel are well paid. And naturally, we sit down in what they call collective bargaining agreement, CBA, discuss and arrive at agreement on how it should be, especially with regards to the salary structures of the different health personnel in the healthcare sector, and also the relativity between medical doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the microbiologists, and other people that work in the healthcare system. And so, unfortunately, government quite often do not live up to expectation because apart from the delay in reviewing the packages, the remuneration packages as agreed, they also go ahead to bring out circular that falls short, falls short of what was discussed. So at the end of the day, they erode the relativity, at the same time, not meeting up, not even up to 10 or 5% of what probably was agreed. And, sometimes too, they are carrying out this action without even involving enemy. For instance, the circular that came out, the last circular that came out, enemy had no involvement. They just brought it out, and we realized that, instead of the normal increment that is expected, about 1.7% was what was given, instead of over 200% that is expected. So it's quite obnoxious, and it doesn't call well, especially in this time of brain drain, where majority of Nigerian doctors have left the country, and the country is deprived, very seriously deprived of doctors. The recommended ratio by WHO is one doctor to about 300 to 600 patients, but in Nigeria we are almost one doctor to about 8,000 to 10,000 patients. And so the workload for doctors, the workload for healthcare workers is so much that they're having burnt out, doctors are collapsing, and the health indices is beginning to drop. And yet you are now bringing up a circular that do not commensurate with the work that is being done.
And away from that, President Bola Tinubu is attending the 2025 BRICS Summit, a gathering of the world's major emerging economies. His presence marks a strategic move to strengthen Nigerians' voice in global economic and diplomatic conversations.
The summit hosted this year in Rio de Janeiro brings together leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now partner nations like Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu was received by top Brazilian officials as his visit follows growing international recognition of Nigeria's economic potential and its push for a stronger role in multilateral institutions.
We just had a very down-to-earth bilateral discussions led by Mr. President himself, and on the Brazilian side, President Lula da Silva led his own team. From the presentation of President, I had him mention part of the reforms embarked upon by Mr. President Bola Tinubu has been that of the creation of the Ministry of Livestock at the federal level, and he kept on emphasizing that Nigerian livestock need the kind of transformation the Brazilian sector has underwent over the years. And he repeated that 3 times. That underscores his own commitment, the political support he is giving to the transformation of the livestock sector.
Honestly, I'm so excited. And both President Lula and President Tinubu hit it on the head. The South-South collaboration and the BRICS collaboration will bring so much to Nigeria in terms of exchanges in air, transportation, shipping, trade, investment, and also mining and agriculture.
The summit, high-level discussions on global trade reforms, South-South cooperation, climate financing, and the proposed BRICS currency initiative are expected. as well as the formation of new bilateral relations and ties.
And then another engagement is also going to happen in August, and they expressed the desire to fast-track whatever relationship in terms of economic relationship, in terms of research and development, in areas of aviation, in areas of agriculture.
Part of this engagement gets me intrigued because something is coming up, that we add up on a good push, even in terms of agriculture, and then also in terms of solid minerals. They're quite huge on this thing too.
President Tinubu's visit to Brazil is expected to last 3 days, with Nigerians watching closely for any agreements or declarations that may reshape its foreign policy and economic direction. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Bettina Nwili.
And the package we just watched was brought to us by our State House correspondent, Bettina Nwili. Thank you for that. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has assured that all bottlenecks hindering the realization of the agricultural sector's potential, including livestock production, will be removed to enable food sovereignty and export. He stated this at a bilateral meeting held at the Copacabana Forte with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and some members of both countries' cabinet. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on President Bola Tinubu to urgently order the publication of the long-delayed forensic audit report on the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The report, covering year 2000 to 2019, was commissioned under former President Buhari and submitted in 2021, but remains unpublished amid allegations of obstruction by high-ranking officials and politicians. SERAP demands that Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi investigate and prosecute those responsible for blocking the report's release, which exposes over 6 trillion naira in misappropriated funds and 13,000 abandoned projects in the Niger Delta. The group warns that failure to act within 7 days will lead to legal action at the ECOWAS Court of Justice to compel compliance and restore public trust. And now we'll go on a short break. Join us shortly. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of Kogi Central has announced she will resume her duties in the Senate this Tuesday, following a federal high court ruling that nullified her 6-month suspension. The court declared the suspension unconstitutional and excessive, emphasizing that it denied her constituents proper representation. In a video message to supporters, Akpoti-Uduaghan expressed gratitude and confirmed her return to the Senate by the grace of God. However, the court also fined her 5 million naira for contempt over a Facebook post that breached an earlier court injunction. Meanwhile, spokesman of the Senate, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, on Sunday said the Federal High Court in Abuja has not served the certified true copy of the judgment which nullified the 6-month suspension of Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. He said the upper chamber has acknowledged the judgment of the court, but are yet to serve the CTC. The Senate Committee on Constitution Review over the weekend received varying requests for the creation of additional states in the southeast geopolitical zone of Nigeria to guarantee equity and fairness. Stakeholders representing various interests at the Constitutional Review hearing in Enugu, such as Na Nwodo from Enugu State and Sam Nwakire from Abia State, stated the viability of their proposals and argued why there has to be an additional state in the zone from their own ends. A total of 4 different states of Aba, Adada, Anim, and Anioma states were suggested for creation. Senate Committee Chairman Onyekachi Nwebonyi led the committee on the review hearing in Enugu State.
Our zonal summit, which is one of the steps to be taken in amending our constitution, the 1999 constitution. And I believe that this time around, the Federal Republic of Nigeria will listen to the people of Southeast.
The potentials for other states are vast. We have already results. In fact, my in-laws in Anambra are horizontally drilling our oil in Uzowa as I speak to you. We have gas reserves in Ihadiagu. We have the potential for viability economically. We have extensive land for agriculture.
7 years ago, thank you very much, Ohaneze Ndị Igbo, sitting here in this city, recommended Aba as the 6th state for the Southeast zone. There's no doubt. Aba itself is a brand. In Aba, every house is a store. In Aba, every street is a market.
At the South-South Zone, the Senate Committee on Constitution Review held a public hearing reviewing over 50 proposed amendments to the 1999 Constitution. Stakeholders, including civil society groups, traditional rulers, and advocacy organizations, gathered in Ikotekpene to push for reforms aimed at building a more inclusive and representative nation. Top issues raised include demands for 6 new states and 3 additional local government areas, support for the reserved seats for women bill, and strong opposition to removing labor from the exclusive legislative list. And still on political matters, Borno State Governor Babangana Zulum has firmly denied reports claiming he plans to defect from the ruling All Progressive Congress to the African Democratic Congress, along with 5 other governors. In a statement released by his spokesperson, Dauda Aliya, Governor Zulum described the rumors as unfounded fabrications spread by what he called unscrupulous elements seeking relevance. He reaffirmed his commitment to the APC and urged the public to disregard what he called cheap politics. Governor Zulum emphasized that his administration remains focused on the critical task of rebuilding and developing Borno State, and he called on media outlets and the public to verify news through credible official sources, not rumors and disinformation.
Any country that professes to practice democracy without virile, robust opposition will be tied any democracy that
Earlier, Barrister Fred Nziaku joins us in the news to discuss new political force in the bloc and the constitution reform moves of the National Assemblies. Here are some of his views. Subsequently, we showed you, and now we'll go back to the package. With the 2027 general elections in sight, political momentum is building within the All Progressives Congress. Leaders of the party in the South-South region have thrown their full weight behind President Bola Tinubu, endorsing him as the party's sole presidential candidate. At the APC South-South stakeholders meeting held in Benin City, the party also backed its 4 sitting governors in the region for re-election, calling for unity and continuity. News Central, Ameze Bazwaye reports from Edo State.
Waifu Creative Hub in Benin City played host to key political figures from across the South-South, from serving in former governors to National Assembly members, ministers, party delegates, and stakeholders. This was a gathering of the APC's political heavyweights. Senate President Godswill Akpabio led the high-powered delegation, joined by the acting national chairman of the APC, as well as other national leaders of the party. Host and Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpeolu, welcomed stakeholders and set the tone for what was described as a strategic political alignment meeting ahead of 2027.
South region has always spoken with one voice, especially during critical times like this. This meeting is a loud reminder that the time is right and we must start talking to ourselves.
Following deliberations, the meeting concluded with a strong communique affirming unwavering support for President Bola Tinubu's administration. Stakeholders unanimously endorsed him as the APC sole presidential candidate for the 2027 general elections.
The Southern region is no longer an afterthought in national development. We hereby unanimously adopt Mr. President, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFRO, as our sole candidate for the 2027 election. Not be so matter.
In addition, the forum passed a vote of confidence on the 4 APC governors in the region, adopting them as the party's sole candidates for the next governorship elections.
We passed a vote of confidence on the 4 APC governors of the South region, that these 4 governors should be re-elected to their respective states.
With President Tinubu and 4 APC governors receiving the nod ahead of 2027, the party's South-South leadership says the stage is set to strengthen political structures and ensure stability in governance across the South-South region. In Edo State, for News Central, Ameze Bazwai.
We'll go on a short break and give you more news when we return. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says over 700 million naira has been generated within 3 weeks from the newly renovated Bola Tinubu International Conference Center, compared to the previous annual remittance of 50 million naira to the federal government. Wike made the disclosure during a special Thanksgiving service to mark the completion of FCT projects, accusing a former government beneficiary from Adamawa of underpaying the federal government. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
It was a special Thanksgiving church service celebrating the commissioning of FCT projects across 16 days as part of activities to mark the second anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration.
Like Mephibosheth in our story, God will turn your crippled situation to a song of joy. And this time, in our FCT, our crippled situation has been turned to a song of joy. President of Nigeria went to village, went to rural area to go and commission project.
Beyond hymns, prayers and songs, the tone shifted when the FCT minister mounted the podium, taking aim at members of the recently announced political coalition, whom he accused of betraying public trust.
How can Nigeria not be angry with you? Today, in 1999, you are in this party. In 2006, you are another party. In 2014, you moved to another party. In 2019, you came back to another party. That 2025, you are moving to another party. To rescue who? You want to rescue your stomach.
Defending his alignment with the current administration, Wike told the congregation that the church almost made a costly mistake in 2023 by supporting Peter Obi.
Some of you have sympathy for somebody you don't know. I'll say it. And that's where he nearly made us to make a mistake. He said Peter Obi will be president. President where?
He also revealed that over 700 million naira has already been generated from the renovated Bola Tinubu International Conference Center, 10 times what was annually earned.
And within 6-7 months, we have rehabilitated the International Conference Center. But you know the shocking thing? The man who was running it from Adamawa was paying to government 50 million naira a year. But in 3 weeks that we just renovated it, we have paid over 700 million.
What began as a service of gratitude soon turns into a forum of political commentary, further fueling national conversations about leadership, loyalty, and governance. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
And away from Nigeria, in Liberia, President Joseph Boakai has formally apologized to the nation for the atrocities and trauma caused by the country's 2 brutal civil wars. Speaking at a national reconciliation ceremony in Monrovia on Saturday, President Boakai acknowledged the deep pain and suffering endured by Liberians between 1989 and 2003, a period that claimed an estimated 250,000 lives. The wars were marked by widespread massacres, mutilation, rape, and the use of child soldiers, leaving lasting scars on the nation. The president's apology comes just days after he attended official memorials for former Presidents William Tolbert and Samuel Doe, both killed in political violence tied to Liberia's troubled past. The ceremonies form part of an ongoing national effort to confront and heal from decades of division and conflict. And in Gabon, President Brice Oligui Nguema, who came to power following a 2023 coup that ended over 5 decades of Bongo family rule, has launched a new political party. The newly formed Democratic Union of Builders was unveiled on Saturday during a major congress attended by thousands, including key figures from the previous Bongo administration. In a statement, the party said it aims to rebuild the Gabonese social contract following what is called a brilliant presidential victory. President Brice, a former general, ousted Ali Bongo in August 2023 and went on to win the April 2024 presidential election with nearly 95% of the vote. International observers reported no major irregularities. The UDB now emerges as a rival to the long-dominant Gabonese Democratic Party, or PDG, which was led by the Bongo dynasty for more than 50 years. An armed gang attacked the headquarters of the Kenyan Human Rights Commission on Sunday as it hosted a press conference calling for an end to state violence. The press conference was being held ahead of Monday's Saba Saba Day, an annual commemoration of pro-democracy protest in the 1990s. The Women's Collective Kenya, a grassroots rights movement, had helped organize the press conference to call for an immediate end to arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings of their children for taking to the streets. But the meeting had yet to start when the gang of around 20 people attacked, some armed with sticks, forcing many to flee for safety.
Leave her alone.
Members of the ECOWAS Parliament have called for the promotion of sovereign digital infrastructure across the sub-region, including the establishment of a sustainable funding mechanism. These formed part of the recommendations by regional lawmakers following a 5-day session held in Dakar, Senegal, to review the state of digital education across the sub-region, including the challenges affecting the adoption of artificial intelligence in education. Idong Joseph compiled this report.
It was the end of a 5-day session by members of the ECOWAS Parliament in Dakar, Senegal. The session concluded with discussions bordering on digital education, the adoption of artificial intelligence in education, and challenges mitigating the effective application of technology in education across the region.
We have deepened our collective understanding on the challenges of digital integration and its opportunities for socio-economic development of the region.
Several recommendations were agreed that will include addressing challenges identified by the lawmakers. Some of them include:
We called for the elaboration of a community act controlling AI in order to guarantee ethical, inclusive inclusion of digital technology which expresses our common values.
Key recommendations include promoting sovereign digital infrastructures, establishing a 10-year program for a regional digital strategy, and systematically integrating media and digital literacy. Promote the development of digital education plans at national level with clear targets and sustainable funding mechanisms.
Some lawmakers in attendance also gave their advice on directions needed for the sub-region to take.
Some countries have already allotted sizable budgets to their education sector, but others have not. We have to find a kind of recommendation that forces them to invest more into education.
If one country goes up and the other one stays down, it becomes a problem. If we can harmonize, we believe our relationship will grow stronger, our security will be stronger. Also, our interaction will be much better, our marketing will be okay, our agricultural product will be better, our transferring of funds will be very well.
The committee says that its key recommendations will be presented to the Parliament during its upcoming ordinary session, a move expected to galvanize effective action.
And now we'll go on a break. More news when we return. Join us again. Thank you for staying with us. The death toll from flash flooding in Kerr County, Texas, has risen to 80, including over 21 children. This is according to Sheriff Larry Letta, who disclosed that identification is still pending for 18 adults and 4 children. Rescuers continue their search for missing people, including 11 campers and 1 counselor from Camp Mystique, a summer camp located by the Guadalupe River.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, we've recorded 59 deceased in Kerr County. Among those who are deceased, we have 38 adults and 21 children. 18 adults pending identification and 4 children are also pending identification. At present, there are 11 Camp Mystic campers unaccounted for, along with 1 counselor. We extend our sincerest condolences and prayers for every single family affected by this tragedy.
Now we'll move on to sports.
In sports, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, has distanced itself from Imabongi Silko's 2-year ban for failing to file whereabouts information 3 times within 12 months, a violation of World Athletics anti-doping rules. The AFN clarified that filing whereabouts is solely the athlete's responsibility and it is not within the Federation's duties to monitor or enforce it. Despite repeated reminders from both the AFN and the Nigeria's anti-doping committee, who allegedly failed to comply, the AFN emphasized its ongoing efforts through anti-doping seminars like the recent one at the 2024 National Sports Festival. Led by Professor Ken Anugweje, AFN's doping unit continues to educate athletes on rules including TUEs and whereabouts filing to promote clean sport. And now to wrestling, Nigeria's Esther Kolawole claimed gold in the women's 62-kilogram category at the 2025 Grand Prix of Spain, defeating USA's Jaffe Hailey 10-0 by technical superiority in the final. Kolawole dominated the tournament, winning a quarterfinal bout 10-0 against Spain's Lidia Torino and edging Poland's Alia Novosad 4-1 in the semi-final. President of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Daniel Igali, praised the performance, noting the importance of international exposure ahead of future competitions. Kolawole is set to compete in ranking series in Budapest from July 14th to 19th, part of our preparation for the 2025 World Wrestling Championships in Croatia. And now to football. Nigeria kicked off their 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON campaign with a dominant 3-0 win over Tunisia. First half goals from Asisat Oshoala and Rinsola Babajide gave the Super Falcons an early advantage before Chinwendu Hezuo sealed the victory with a composed left-footed strike into the bottom corner in the second half. The 9-time WAFCON champions showed their quality and experience throughout the match, controlling possession and creating numerous chances. With the win, Nigeria topped Group B with 3 points, setting a strong tone for the rest of the tournament. The Super Falcons will look to build on this momentum as they aim for a 10th continental title and qualification for the next round. Still talking football, Arsenal have confirmed the signing of Spanish midfielder Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad in a deal worth approximately £55 million. Euro 2024 winner joins on a 5-year contract after making 236 appearances for Sociedad and earning 19 caps for Spain. Arsenal reportedly paid above his £51 million buyout clause to stagger the fee. Zubimendi's arrival strengthens Mikel Arteta's midfield following the exit of Thomas Partey and Jorginho, allowing Declan Rice to play a more advanced role alongside Martin Odegaard. The 26-year-old becomes Arsenal's second summer signing after Kepa Arrizabalaga. Deals for Christian Nogard and striker Victor Gyökeres are also nearing completion as the Gunners push for the first Premier League title since 2004. And to wrap up sports update, Lando Norris triumphed in a rain-soaked British Grand Prix at Silverstone, claiming victory ahead of McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri. Sauber's Nico Hülkenberg secured third, earning his first career podium after 239 races. Norris thrilled home fans with the win, closing the gap to 8 points behind Piastri in the driver's standings. Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton finished fourth, just ahead of Red Bull's Max Verstappen. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Private medical practitioners in Nigeria warn of imminent collapse in the health sector, urge government intervention. President Tinubu issues marching order to the military as terrorist kills 9 in fresh attack in Borno State. We also told you about the death toll from flash flooding in Kerr County, Texas, which has now risen to 80. Remember, you may send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Queen Celestine.